Hi mathematicians! Today, and actually for a few more days, we are going to be learning a few different strategies for addition. Today we are going to be learning something called partial sums addition. Partial sums, the word partial just means, if you see the word, look, you can see the word part in here, in the word partial, and you know what a part is. It means that you don't have the whole thing. Like if you had a pizza, if you only get part of it, well, you don't get all of it. You might get a slice or two. Okay, so partial sums addition means that you're breaking apart the problem. All right, so it says to estimate. Remember, we estimated yesterday, or on Tuesday, and that just means to pick a close but easier number, one that makes sense to you. So remember, mine might not be the same as yours, and that's okay. All right, so we need to estimate, and then we're going to use the partial sums addition to solve the problems. Okay, so let's do our estimate first. Here are our numbers. Sorry, it kind of got blurry when I zoomed in. 143 plus 28 equals blank. Don't fill out this blank first. We will come back to that at the very end once we figure out the exact answer. All right, but for our estimate, remember for me, if it's in the hundreds, I like to round it in the hundreds, and if it's in the tens, I round it to the tens, because you can't round it to the hundreds. Okay, so I'm gonna round 143, that needs to be rounded down to 100. And then 28, is 28 closer to 20 or 30? Yeah, it's closer to 30. So my estimate would be 100 plus 30 equals 130. Another option for that, let's say you like rounding by tens, even if it's in the hundreds, you would round 143 to 140. And then keep the 30, obviously. And then that would equal 170. So those are pretty close numbers, 130 and 170. They're not too far off. So it's still going to give you a good estimate. All right. Now we have our estimate, or our estimates. And I'm going to teach you how to do partial sums addition. Okay? So basically what we're going to do is we're going to break apart each place value. So place value is like your ones, your tens, your hundreds. So I'm gonna write, I want you to write it up and down instead of side to side like this. So write it, oops. Okay, so write it up and down like this. Make sure you line up your place values. So look, my ones place, I'll use a different color to show you. My ones place is right here, and it's lined right up underneath the 8. My tens place is right underneath the tens place on the bottom number. And then my 100s place, it doesn't have anything to line up with, but you just put it right on top of the blank space, okay? That's even more important for this because we're breaking it down by place value. So what you do first is you're going to collect all of the hundreds place from these two numbers. I see right away that I only one of my numbers has something in the hundreds place. And if there's nothing else in the hundreds place, well, then you're just going to add 0 to it. So 100 plus nothing, because there's 0 there. 0. What is going on? 0. And then you want to put an arrow right there instead of an equals sign, because when you put an equals sign, that means that you're done with what you're doing, and we're not done. We've only done one part. All right, so 0 plus 100 equals 100. All right, now we're going to go to our tens place, which is right here. So you probably see that it's a 4 and a 2, but you don't just put 4 and 2. You have 4 tens, and 4 tens means 40. Oops, I clicked the wrong one. So 40 plus, and here's the 2 there. It's not just 2. There's 2 tens, and you know 10 plus 10 equals 20, so it's 20. Put your arrow, and you add those two numbers up. So 40 plus 20 equals 60. And then the last thing you're going to do is add up your ones place. So remember that is right here, that first number on the right. So you would do 3 plus 8 as your final breaking apart the numbers. So 8 plus 3 is 11. And when you write the 11, make sure that you line up the place value, so your 1 and your 1 go in the 10 in the ones place. Now you can put a line right here, and you're gonna add these up just like you would in a normal addition problem. Okay, so 0 plus 0 plus 1 is, 1. 0 plus 6 plus 1 is 7. And 1 plus nothing, well, it's 1. Okay, so I got my answer of 171. 171. Hey, look, my second estimate is super close to the real or the exact answer. So I know that my answer, it makes sense. Okay, so I did it right. And if you did round down to 100 here in this first part, the 130, that's not too far away. You can still do it that way. It would still be correct. Okay, let's do a few more problems. So that one was a 3-digit by a 2-digit. Here is a 3-digit by a 3-digit. You notice how there's 3 numbers and 3 numbers. That's what I was telling you about. All right. First, I need to do my estimate. I see that 195 is like super close to 200, so that's an easy number for me. I'm going to put 200 plus, and then you could either say that 537 is super close to 540, or you could put that 500 is close, or 537 is close to 500. So it doesn't matter if you're rounding to the tens or to the hundreds, whatever makes sense for you. I'm gonna put 500 because you know I like just having nice even hundreds place. So 500 plus 200 equals 700. So that's my estimate. Now let's see if when I do my partial sums, if that estimate matches up or is pretty close. All right, remember, write up and down. So you're gonna put your 195, let's make it a little thicker. Okay, 195 plus 537. All right, don't just go and start adding. We're doing partial sums, partial sums addition. All right, so remember you need to take out the hundreds place first, and the hundreds place is right over here. So you're not just gonna put 1 over here, you're gonna put 100. And then your 5 would be 500. So 100 plus 500 is 600. Okay, now you're gonna do your tens place. 9 and 3, but remember, it's not just 9 and 3. It's 9 tens, which is 90, and 3 tens, which is 30. And then 90 plus 30 equals 120. Okay, and then our last place our last thing that we need to add up is the ones place. That 5 and that 7. 5 plus 7 is 12. Now I can go ahead and add up all those numbers together. When I say add up those numbers together, let me kind of box in what we're talking about so you don't get confused. These are the numbers that we're adding up together. We already did these over here, so don't try to add all of that up together. Just those 3 numbers that we just created. Okay, 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 2 plus 1, 3. 6 plus 1, 7. 732. Oh, okay. Look, my estimate was 700. My actual answer, 732. That's really close. So I know that that answer makes sense. Let's do this last one. Okay, 378 plus 439. Remember, we're going to do our estimate first. I'm going to do rounding to the nearest 100 on both of these. So 378, that's closest to 400. So I put 400. And then 439, is that closest to 400 or 500? Yep, 400. So I know that 400 plus 400 equals 800. Okay, now let's break it down and find the exact answer. See if my estimate is right or close. Okay. Remember, find your hundreds place first, which is right here, and add those together to the left. So 300 plus 400. So I can just do 4 plus 3 is 7, and then add those zeros back. And then tens place, right here, 7 and 3. Okay, so it's not just 7 and 3, it's 7 tens, which is 70, and 3 tens, which is 30. And that's 100. Last but not least, ones place, 8 plus 9 is 17. Okay, remember, you're just adding what we just did. Don't mess with the stuff up above. 0 plus 0 plus 7, 7. 0 plus 0 plus 1, 1. And 7 plus 1 is 8. My actual or exact answer is 817, which is super close to my estimate of 800, so I know that that makes sense. All right, I want you to listen to one last thing. This method is actually the same as some of what you guys are doing. I've noticed that some of you like to use like base 10 blocks to do this. So if you like to do that, you are welcome to, because look, if you, let's look at number 2 right here. If you break apart 195 and make it into, represent it with base 10 blocks, how many base 10, or how many hundreds squares would you have from 195? You have 1. So you put 1 flat, I think is what they call it. And then in order to represent the 9, that would be 9 tens. So you would put 9 of the sticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the ones place is 5. So you would have 5 of those little cubes. Okay, and then to represent 537, you do the same sort of thing. See how many are in the hundreds place, and that's how many of the big squares the hundreds place would have. So you're going to have 5. Look at the tens place. How many are there? There's 3, so I would have 3 at the sticks. And then 7 in the ones place, so 7 of those cubes. All right, and then in order to find the exact answer, you would add those things up. So I see that there are, I'm gonna go from the ones place first, like we did down here. So I'm gonna count these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12, and then I'm adding a 1 up here because I had more than 10, so I had to bump it over to the tens place. Let's count how many 10s there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I can put my 3 down here and put my 1 up here, which would, I shouldn't put a 1, I should put a flat or a square to represent 100. And then I just count those up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So notice how 732, this matches my 732 right here. So if that's your preferred method of partial sums, great, do that. If it's not, do the way that I described it first, all right? You guys are going to try this down here. Remember to do your estimate first, have that number sentence written out, and then you can start with the partial sums addition. But always do the estimate first.